Well, good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, wherever you're, or depends on where you're at. I'm Jimmy McMillan, the founder of the Rent Too Damn High Party. Kind of forgive me for looking up a little bit. I'm having my TV screen in front of me, but my camera's like right here. But I have some information I want to share with you on a housing case that I have in New York City, where the landlord is trying to evict me from my apartment. Something he's been doing since he purchased the property in 2006. In 2008, he took me to court, and he lost. The judge had ordered him to do a few things that he outrightfully defied that order. And a couple of things in that order was, when he purchased the building, he locked my family out of this 107 St. Mark's building. So I went to court. He took me to court for non-payment of rent. Well, when I got to court, I said, let me get him to court to get the things that I want out of this, because I wanted to fight harder, but suffering from, as a Vietnam vet, high blood pressure, my doctor advised me to back off. I wouldn't live to see this case end, so I backed off. And I asked the judge, so the judge wrote an order, as you can see here. The judge wrote an order, Judge Goldstein, if I pronounce his name right, Judge Martin, I'm sorry, wrote an order for the landlord to apply a zero balance to, after the judge had ordered me to pay $291. The zero balance, as I'm reading here, from February going through 2009. And this is the tenant's ledger, as I have here. The landlord never complied. You can look and see, I have it marked here, trying to get it so you can see it, right here. He left it, the $291 balance was a payment ordered by the court. See that there? But when you go look on it and continue looking at the $291 right up there, look at the tenant's ledger. He took the $291 off, but kept it. The balance was never a zero balance, which brings me to this. The judge wrote an order of eviction against me on November 4th of 2014. But in an order she wrote on November 27th, she had spoke about me paying $4,000 in past arrears. By the way, this is the eviction order the Judge Laurie had written to me here to evict me from my premises. But in November 27th, she spoke about that in her order of November 27th about past arrears. Now, we went to court. We went to court about that, and the landlord refused to comply with the court's order of a zero balance. Right here, Judge Martin. So, but what the Judge Laurie did, she added that, listening to them, and they perpetrated a fraud on the court, so she added that into the new landlord, Lisco Holding. They know they went to court. They know they took this case to court. They know they lost it. I guess they thought I was a dummy or idiot to throw papers away, and that I would not remember what went on. But in May of 2011, oh, by the way, they refused to renew my lease. But before they refused to renew my lease, they did something that I didn't fully understand. They breached the lease. They sent me the rent money back, and as you can see here, before the lease expired, they sent the rent money back to me in April of 2011. So as you can see here, resent, I sent it back to them, and I put there April, which is the 4th month, 2011, the check number and everything, check number. The amount was $872.96. They sent it back to me. So they breached the lease on this part. So what I did, I sent that rent back to them with May rent included, $1,745.92. They sent it back. So the question is, what do you mean they sent it back? Because here is a letter they sent me when they sent it back. Right here that clearly said, we're returning the check 6/16 in the amount of $1,700. That please be advised that we cannot accept this check. This come from the landlord. Now, I went to court with an attorney who I didn't understand. He knew nothing about housing, but I went to court with him anyway. What they did is we made a stipulation agreement. But before we make that stipulation agreement, the landlord sent a tenant's ledger as though, remember I told you about that April rent? April rent, right here, they falsified, fraudulently submitted a tenant's ledger to the court of 10750, 10750. See that month right there? That's the check number, and that's the month, 401. Now, I just showed you the check. They sent their check back to me, 401, 412, and 428. They falsified the tenant's ledger submitted to the court as the rent was paid, 10750, 10750, 10750. And as you continue to look at the tenant's ledger, you would also see that, excuse me, I'm trying to get it right here for you. You would also see 10750, 10750 on that tenant's ledger, if I can get it for you here, that the rent of 10750, 10750, let me get to it. There it is coming up. It's in here. Y'all got to forgive me. I'm trying to work a computer, but I also want you to understand my point. 10750, 10750 would the landlord say right here. I want you to look at the ledger. The ledger showed 1,200 and it showed 1,000. They never applied a zero balance at the court asked them to do. Now, we went to court in June because they sent April and May rent back with a letter saying we're not going to take it. We went to court in June and got a stipulation agreement signed, stipulation in June of 2011. The agreement was that they would no longer return the rent. Well, it was signed by both parties, due process. Both parties signed it. My attorney, Vincent and Bessie, and also Borah and Goldstein's attorney to represent the landlord. They signed it too. They signed it along with my attorney. They both signed it. This was done in June. But what they did, they contempt the court's order by returning July rent. And once again, when they return July rent, read what it says. July rent says the same thing as April and May said before my lease expired. Enclosed check number 425. We, in the attached amount of $872.96, we cannot accept this check at this time. Thank you. They turned my rent down for July, and I sent the rent again. I never stopped paying my rent as Judge Schreiber ordered me to do it when the agreement was signed. They sent July back, and also they sent July and August rent back to me. August rent was the same as the July rent, with the letter that attached said, oh, boy, they're trying to drive me crazy. August rent, look at it carefully, August 2011, the landlord, Lisco holder, sent the letter back again. And that letter said the same thing as the last letter said. Check number 426. Please be, well, let me go to all of it. I want you to see it. There we go. Enclosed is check number 426 in the amount of $872.96. We cannot accept this check at this time. Thank you. And once again, the signature on this check, it was signed by Goldstein Enterprise. Now, they sent back, in the court, they filed an affidavit in court. A young lady named Marie, can't spell her name. Marie was the last name. She stated that all checks were she handled all checks. But I have a problem with that, because if Marie handled all the checks, then why are different people? If you look at the tenant's ledger, on the tenant's ledger, Marie's name is not there. But she said she handled all the checks. So if Marie handled all the checks, the question is, why didn't she list these checks be returned on the tenant's ledger? Because it was never mentioned in her affidavit, and so did Nader Salone mention in the affidavit that these checks were returned. This is the tenant's ledger. The tenant's ledger for the month, I have it here where my finger is. Where my finger is. There is no indication, these are the months in here. Let me look at the month. For July, the 7th, look for 7. The 7th month. Anyway, my fingers are not holding it right. There's the 7th month right up there. There's no indication that the rent will return. These are the months of the rent they returned right here. Oh, there they go. I see it. Right here is where the rent was returned, where my finger is. These are the months where they returned 1, 2, 3. They returned 5 months of rent. See that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there was no indication that these checks were returned. And there was no indication on the affidavit they fill out that the checks were returned. Because I always say, like I said again, Judge Lau asked me to, Judge Lau, but Judge Schreiber ordered me to pay my rent. I never stopped paying the rent. Today is the 5th of December 2014, and I still have the rent to pay. December 1st was my birthday, so thank you for saying happy birthday to me. Now, on May 5th of 2013, Judge Lau ordered me to go to the bank and get the money, get the remainder of the rent, because then she said they didn't catch it. Go to the bank and get it. That's what I did. I got the court transcript to prove everything that the judge asked me to do. It's right here before you. Now, this transcript is very critical, because I want you to look at the people who appeared in court. These are the people who showed up in court. The May 9th, Your Honor Judge Lau, me, James McMillan, and the landlord's attorney, Borah and Goldstein, Stephen. Now, it's so strange because, excuse me while I turn my head here, because this is something that I think you pay attention, read your court papers, because the landlord filled out an affidavit for Borah and Goldstein, stating that I made this up and that I was never there, that no one came on my behalf to tender. That's what they call it when you go to court, to tender stuff like this. But I'm going to show you something. This is very, very critical, what they are doing. Either they're stupid or they just don't give a damn. They got all that money, they just don't pay attention to what they're doing. I thought I had it said. Now, y'all kind of apologize. I apologize for you for holding my head down on you here. But I think it's the very piece of critical information to this case that they perpetrated a fraud on the court, and because the judges were appointed to the bench by the landlord's attorney, Borah and Goldstein, appoint these judges to the bench. So they have a tendency, they're doing what they want to do in these courts. And let me just say this clearly. I'm here with the Rent Too Damn High Party to seek justice and getting this right. Nothing against the judge. She's a person who just caught up into the process of not knowing how to get out of this mess that she's in. And I love her to death. And I look at her, and not as somebody out to get me. She is dealing with organized crime. They will kill her. Let me repeat that right. She go against this group, they'll kill her. So what the landlord did, he signed an affidavit here, and that affidavit was signed by Nader Salone, and that a sworn affidavit. Read what it says at the bottom. I'm the principal Lisco Holding Let me go right down to the point. Neither respondent, James McMillan, or anyone acting on his behalf attempted to tender the landlord checks. Present respondent owe $18,000 unpaid in arrears. Now, where did they come up with those numbers? Because the judge ordered them to mark a zero balance. They never did. They kept it going on. It kept accumulating. And they returned the rent for April, May, June, July, and August. That's 5 months. So, and they tried to cover it up and didn't speak about it on the tenant's ledger. So what happened, the only thing I blame Judge Laurie for, when she came and took this case in February, from February to March, she never read the case. Because when she came in, she ordered, in her order she put down additionally, pay the money, pay the rent. Now, this was an ex parte, because she said in court that they made a motion. There was no motion in the court where they mentioned money. The judge did. Judge Laurie did. Like I said very carefully, I understand what Judge Laurie is protecting her behind, because she's dealing with organized crime, and they know everything about her. And before it doesn't look pretty for the judge. They got themselves involved in an organized crime group that'll kill them. Remember what I told you that the attorney said that I wasn't in court the day that the judge had ordered me to go to the bank and get the money. Now I want you to look at this. This is the court transcript. He was never there. He committed perjury against the court. He perjured the court, meaning he lied. So the real part that I'm getting to now is Judge Laurie ordered me to go to the bank and get this money. Now, the court transcript says it all. The court transcript reads clearly. In the court transcript, this is what it says. The landlord did not cash the checks. McMillan, since the landlord did not cash the checks, did not cash the checks. I'm gonna get to that part. Hold on. With the landlord did not cash. Interesting. Read your court papers, because I'm sorry the judge is caught up in this, but she have no choice but to defend herself. Sir, you now know the name of the bank. Okay, stay with me. Know the name of the bank. Know the name of the bank. Go to the bank. Get the checks for that amount. I'll see you this afternoon at 2:30. Have a nice day. Gentlemen, she put down. Now, this is what I did when I came back to court. I noticed the recorder was off. I said, oh, man, I've been a private investigator for too damn long. I'd say I know there was some slick stuff in this court, something going on crazy. My job was to get to the bottom of what's happening in the housing court, because Judge Laurie and Borah and Goldstein was involved in the Stuyvesant Town fraud case, where they're doing the same thing to those folks they're doing to me. And I wanted to get to the bottom of it without really hurting anybody. So I brought these two checks back to the court. Totaling $11,348.48. I brought them back to the court. The judge ordered me to give them to her at the bench. Now, don't forget, the recorder was off. And oh man, I knew I was in trouble then. Something was wrong. So what I did, I gave them to the judge. I put these checks in the judge's hand. Well, when the judge gave them back, she gave them back to me. She gave me 13 months of my rent money back to me. A total of 18 months rent. The landlord and the judge gave back to me. So you can't take the unified court system to court. So since she is working for them, I just said the landlord gave me back 18 months of my rent, and that is the way I see it. But one thing I did is the process of what the judge did. As a private investigator, I went to protect myself because I want you to look at this envelope here. I want you to look at this very carefully. And it says checks. I put these checks in a safe place, 5/9/2013. This envelope has been sealed. Sealed. In this envelope are these two checks that you see. I have Judge Laurie fingerprints on these checks. I have the judge's DNA on these checks. In this sealed envelope, I sealed this envelope. When I made copies, I made very carefully that I touched them correctly and would not destroy the evidence of fingerprints. They're on this check. I hate that it have to end like this, but I'm not going to stop. You're not trying to. You are evicting me out of my apartment. I'm just simply not going down without a fight. And I have the judge's DNA on these checks. And that's what this is about with me and the housing crisis that's going on in New York and 107 St. Mark's Place in Brooklyn, in New York City right now. It's a tragedy. It shouldn't be happening. But since it is happening, you look at a person like myself, you have to defend yourself. And regrettably, this is going on. But I hope you can see the camera here. The camera kind of like give me a little hard time with my lighting here. So there it is. But once again, I have the judge's DNA on those checks. And I want you all to remember, this is New York you're talking about. A place that Al-Qaeda hit and organized crime is here. And the judge has been appointed to the bench by a lynching mob that her life is in danger if she go against what they want her to do. I don't know how to reach out to FBI or law enforcement that if this judge do not agree with them because they appointed her, they screen the judges and they appoint them to the bench in New York City Housing Court. And mark my word, if Judge Laurie, a female, do not comply with what Borah and Goldstein want from her as a judge, her body will probably end up in a trash can. And I love her to death. I love her to death. I just hate that she got caught up with these folks. She don't know what to do. Anyway, this is Jimmy McMillan, the Rent Too Damn High Party. This is my job. I'm here to fight to keep apartments in New York from being destabilized, but I'll come back to you later. There's more to tell about Borah and Goldstein and the organized crime that they are involved in. I got it all. I know it all. Andrew Cuomo was involved with them because he appointed them to the Marlins Commission. You ain't seen or heard nothing yet. I got it all, and I know it all. Why won't someone come to me, elected officials, and ask me to help them reduce the rent? Because I know something is wrong, much greater than what I could sit here and talk about. I know what they did. I know how they changed the laws to make it work for the law firm, Borah and Goldstein, to make them look like winners. Every case they win, it goes on their plaque as they won this case, they won that case. It's a little bit more than, it's organized crime, Gambino, and all the other organized crime factors that you could think of. It's a legal Ponzi that was set up in the state of New York by a law firm called Borah and Goldstein. Robert Goldstein was his name. It's a Ponzi. And once you learn through me how they changed these laws to make it work to get tenants evicted from apartments for the landlords and developers or whatever, it's a scam. Bless me. I love all of you. Thank you for listening and thank you for watching. This is Jimmy McMillan, founder of the Rent Too Damn High Party. And God bless Judge Laurie L. She's a sweet girl. I love her to death. Bye.